Las Vegas. August, 1965. The Sahara Hotel's Copa room was buzzing like a live wire. Cigarette smoke curled in the bright stage lights. The Rat Pack were at their peak: Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., Peter Lawford, and Joey Bishop. Their charm was effortless, their timing impeccable. The audience, tourists, high rollers, and Hollywood elites, expected the usual: laughter, music, a few well-placed drinks, and the smooth, easy charisma the Pack delivered night after night. But tonight, something was different. Something heavy hung in the air, like a storm just over the horizon. Dean Martin knew it before he even set foot on stage. He could feel it in the whispers behind the velvet ropes. In the way the front row tables sat a little straighter, the way certain eyes glinted with expectation and calculation. Tonight, the test wouldn't be about hitting a note or landing a joke. Tonight, it would be about standing up when no one else dared. At the center of that tension sat a man named Victor Duca, Vic the Blade. A capo from Chicago's outfit, infamous for cruelty, a man whose mere presence made other mobsters uneasy. Heavy set, cold eyes, thick neck, always a smile that never reached them. Vic hadn't come for the music. He had come to assert control. To remind everyone, and himself, that he was untouchable. With him were 6 of his men, glasses in hand, smirking at the performers as if the stage existed solely for their amusement. Every comment, every chuckle at the wrong moment, was a calculated display of dominance. Dean Martin noticed him immediately. Frank noticed him. Even Sammy noticed, though Sammy was lost in his performance, giving everything to the song, "I've Got You Under My Skin." He danced, sang, poured soul into every note. The audience was captivated. Sammy was at his absolute best: raw, commanding, untouchable in talent. But Vic Duca? He saw a stage, a performer, and a target. Vic had been quiet up until now: subtle heckling, remarks to his table, smirks exchanged with his crew. Nothing to ruin the performance. Yet the tension was there, and then, in the crescendo of Sammy's solo, Vic decided to make his mark. A bottle of Dom Perignon opened sharply, champagne spraying directly at Sammy mid-note. His tuxedo soaked. His face stung. Eyes blurred. The music faltered. Vic laughed, a loud, brazen laugh that echoed off the mirrored walls. "Dance, Sammy. Isn't this what you people do?" he shouted, a cruel gleam in his eyes. The audience froze. 2,000 people held their breath. This wasn't entertainment. This was calculated humiliation, racial, cruel, deliberate. Sammy, drenched and stunned, instinctively wiped his eyes and composed himself. Decades in show business had taught him one rule: survive. Keep performing. Never show weakness. But Dean Martin? Dean was watching from the wings. He felt the heat of the room, the tension, the danger. And he made a choice. Dean Martin stepped forward. Not hurriedly, not angrily. Slowly, deliberately, like a man who understood exactly what was at stake. He walked to Sammy's side and placed a hand on his shoulder. A gesture of solidarity that spoke louder than any words. Then Dean turned toward Vic, calm, steady, voice clear. "Excuse me, sir. Did you just spray champagne at my friend?" Vic grinned. "Yeah, I did." "What are you going to do about it, Dean?" Dean's gaze never wavered. "I'm going to ask you why." Vic laughed. "Because it's funny. I paid good money for this show, and I want to be entertained. Watching your little friend squirm is entertaining." Dean stepped closer, his voice firmer. "Don't finish that sentence." Vic's smirk faltered slightly. Dean continued, "You're not going to sit in my showroom and humiliate my friend. You're not going to treat Sammy Davis Jr. like some kind of trained animal for your amusement. And you sure as hell aren't going to use that kind of language in here." The room was silent. 2,000 people, waiting. Vic Duca was a made man. Killer. Dangerous. Publicly challenging him could have been deadly. But Dean didn't care. "You know who I am?" Vic hissed, quietly threatening. "Yeah," Dean said. "You're Victor Duca. Dangerous, connected, feared. I know all of that. And I also know that none of it matters right now. You threw champagne at my friend. Now you're going to apologize. Vic laughed, darkly, menacingly, or what? Dean's answer was simple, but lethal in authority, or the show stops. Right now. Everyone walks out. And you explain to every paper in America why you humiliated Sammy Davis Jr. in front of 2,000 witnesses and refused to apologize. Vic's eyes narrowed. Dean's words were not threats. They were truth. Every word carried weight. You think I can't hurt you? Vic said quietly, I don't care what you do to me, Dean replied evenly. But you are going to apologize to Sammy. Right now. In front of everyone. Silence. Tension hung in the room like smoke. The Rat Pack at the wings, frozen. Frank Sinatra ready to intervene. Peter Lawford, Joey Bishop, silent, tense. The audience, captivated. Dean Martin had drawn a line. This was no longer a performance. This was a public standoff between moral courage and brute power. Apologize, or the show stops, Dean said again. Vic's jaw tightened. His crew glanced at him nervously. Every eye in the room fixed on this man, legendary for violence and intimidation. Finally, Vic's shoulders slumped. Forced, guttural words escaped, I apologize to Mr. Davis. It was inappropriate and disrespectful. Won't happen again. Dean nodded. Loud enough for the entire room. Good. Now you and your crew can stay or leave. But if anyone disrupts the show again, you'll be escorted out. And Victor, if you ever treat any performer like that again, I'll make sure the entire city knows. Are we clear? Vic nodded curtly, subdued. His power gone in that room. Dean turned to Sammy. Sam, you accept his apology? Tears in Sammy's eyes, not from champagne, but from the weight of witnessing his friend risk everything for him. Yeah, Dean. I accept. Dean raised his hand. Then let's finish the show. Music resumed. Sammy sang, stronger than before, pouring in every ounce of humiliation, anger, and gratitude into his performance. Every note soared. The audience erupted, standing ovation lasting 5 minutes. Dean turned to them. Ladies and gentlemen, what you witnessed tonight was a lesson. Talent, character, and dignity matter. Sammy Davis Jr. has all three. And he is my brother, not by blood, but by choice. Anyone who disrespects him disrespects me. That is family. Applause thundered. People cried. The lesson was clear, human dignity surpasses power. Backstage, Sammy found Dean. Dean, you could have been hurt. Dean smiled quietly. I had two choices, let him humiliate you, or say not okay. I chose the second. You saved my soul that night, Sammy whispered. I'm your brother, Dean said. That's what brothers do. Especially when it matters most. The story spread through Las Vegas, Hollywood, and beyond. Victor Duca never returned to the sands. His standing in Chicago diminished. Other mobsters treated black entertainers with more caution. Dean and Sammy's friendship deepened into brotherhood. Dean's act of courage became a legend, not just for music, not for performance, but for morality. Years later, when Sammy faced terminal illness, he recalled that night. Dean, you showed me I deserved dignity. You defended me when no one else would. Dean simply replied, you are my brother, Sam. Always have been, always will be. August 12, 1965. The night when a mob boss tried to humiliate a black entertainer. The night Dean Martin refused to allow it. That night, courage triumphed over fear, brotherhood triumphed over cruelty, dignity triumphed over power. Not songs. Not movies. Not fame. But morality, loyalty, and standing for what's right. That is the real legacy of the Rat Pack.